In my last demonstration in the series of videos, I'd like to talk a little bit about assert statement. So in Python, as in many other programming languages, we have a facility that's called assert. So what assert does, assert is a statement that verifies a certain condition, okay? And the condition is the takes first place in this syntax, in the syntax of assert statement. And after comma, this is an optional part. This is the information which will be included in the assertion exception, an assertion error, and this information will be printed on user screen. So let's just execute this sample. Again, I'm going to clear screen and run this script, which is pretty simple, and you can see what it's printing. So when the assert fails, which means this condition was false, and I intentionally just use false as my condition just for the demonstration of how assertion works. So here we have basically, it starts with the trace back because assertion creates assertion error exception, okay? And so it's designed to interrupt the running program. It's called proactive debugging. Sometimes programmers say that we'd like to make sure, we'd like to assert that certain conditions in our code are always true. Basically, we say that if these conditions are not true, it doesn't make sense anymore to continue execution of our program. So let me now walk you through the assertion statements that I've used in my demo. Right here, for instance, I wanted to make sure that index is never equals bad index. Okay, and if this fails, if this condition is false, which means that index equals bad index, in that case, I'm using this formatted string, and I say unexpected file format and file name and line count. Okay, so unexpected file format, that's what I decide to do. But it will throw this type of exception, and so this time, of course, it will say unexpected file format. Another very similar assertion that I'd like to hold true all the time is that load state, in case if I'm ready to save the values, the load state should be read value. Okay, and again, I say unexpected file format and the file name and line count. But what is extremely helpful with assertion that, of course, just like other exceptions, it includes the information about the source file that caused the exception and the line number inside the module, right? So if this was reported from a file video 11.6 assert, so this is obviously is line number 6, and this is why we got this assert number 6. Okay, so what else did I do in my code in terms of asserts? Remember, we organized input of our files, the information that's coming from our file, the structure of our records, is that we could be reading index or we could be reading a value. Okay, so here is our if-else logic that we said, if this is a comment, if this is an empty line, if we are reading index, if we are reading a value. But in case if for some reason we hit this else, so it's none of the above, right? Then I just say false unexpected load state, and I want to display what is the load state and what is the file name and what is the line count. So supposedly this assert should never happen. But if I started making further changes to my program, started adding new load states to my file structure, I could potentially make a mistake in my own logic and hit this assert, and then I will know immediately, right? So I didn't have to do this. I could just simply ignore this. I could just keep it like this. But I decided that just in case, if something really wrong happens in my own logic, I would like to stop program immediately, report the problem, and instantly, as the highest priority, address this problem, because there's something wrong with my decision making with all of the above conditions that I examine in my if-else statements here. Technically speaking, asserts are not an error reporting mechanism to the user. Asserts are strictly designed to help programmers to keep their code healthy, to proactively search for any possibilities of incorrect states in our variables, incorrect variable values. And as soon as we can detect something that is like, 99% is obvious, but as soon as we detect something, we'd like to stop our program. We'd like to force it to fail and display this information. And basically it says that we still have to continue working on the logic of our program, because assertions are error reporting for programmers themselves. Assertions should never be used to report errors to users. In fact, with users, we use exception mechanism and try and catch, right? Or try and accept in Python. Right? So try and accept will give us a chance to execute our own code in response to a certain exception, certain error type. But assertions are the mechanism designed to display information to the programmer. And also in this demo for assertions, I just wanted to make sure that I can show you how you can collect the name of this file, which is 11.6 assert, and this line number on this assertion statement, which always fails, right? This is our demo. We just design it so that this assertion statement always fails. So here you can import the inspect module, and current frame refers to the current level of function calls on program stack of function calls, and in that current frame there is access to the source file and the file number to which this current frame is executing, and it should accurately be able to get this information. So if I now show you what I report here is that this assertion error, unexpected. See exactly what I'm saying here: unexpected error in file, unexpected error in file. This is all custom made by us, and this is of course the file path, and the line is line number 6, right? So assertions are very powerful mechanism to catch errors proactively, that catch those types of errors that the user should never see. We cannot control whether the disk is full and you cannot no longer write to it, but if my state variable, which should be 100% predictable, all of a sudden has some kind of random value, I would like to stop the program and say I should immediately fix this problem in my own logic. So this is the assertions, and I continue using these assertions with the rest of our videos, our demos. And I recommend that you research this topic and also start using assertions in your own code to improve the quality of the program code that you are writing.